You are dying. Not physically, not yet, but something inside you, something sacred, something irreplaceable is dying a slow, quiet, comfortable death. And the most terrifying part, you are watching it happen, you are allowing it to happen, you are funding it to happen with every swipe, every scroll, every notification you chase, like a dog chasing its own tail. I need you to stop right now. Stop everything. Because what I am about to say to you is not entertainment. This is not content. This is an intervention. This is a man who has studied the architecture of human greatness for decades, standing in front of you and telling you with every ounce of seriousness I possess that you are in danger. You are not failing because the world is against you. You are not failing because you lack talent. You are not failing because God forgot your name. You are failing because you have become addicted. Deeply, clinically, dangerously addicted to the very things that are consuming your destiny. You are trading your future every single day for nothing. Let me tell you about a king. Not a fictional king. This is the kind of king that history has seen 1,000 times over. A king who sat on a throne built by his ancestors. A kingdom with fertile soil, rivers of clean water, mountains rich with minerals, people who were loyal and capable and ready. A kingdom that, if properly cultivated, could have fed nations, could have influenced generations, could have echoed through centuries. This king had everything. But one afternoon, one quiet, seemingly insignificant afternoon, a traveling merchant arrived at the palace gates. And this merchant carried with him a bag, a simple bag. And inside that bag were pieces of glass, colored glass, brilliant, shimmering, sparkling pieces of colored glass that caught the light of the sun and threw rainbows across the palace walls. And the king was fascinated, not because the glass was valuable, not because it could build anything, not because it could feed anyone or strengthen any army, but because it was stimulating, it was novel, it was immediate. It gave the king's brain what the brain always craves: something new, something bright, something that required no effort and promised instant pleasure. The merchant, who understood exactly what he was doing, said, "Your Majesty, I will give you this first piece of glass for free." And the king took it. And he held it up to the light. And for 3 hours, he sat on his throne doing nothing but rotating that piece of glass, watching colors dance on the ceiling. 3 hours. The next day, the merchant returned. "Your Majesty, I have more. But today, this one will cost you." And the king, whose brain was already rewired, already expecting that stimulation, already craving that hit, said, "What do you want?" The merchant smiled and said, 1 acre of your eastern farmland." And the king said, "Yes." 1 acre for a piece of glass, a piece of glass that produced nothing, a piece of glass that fed nothing, a piece of glass that built nothing. But the king's brain did not care about production. The king's brain only cared about the feeling. Day after day, the merchant returned. Week after week, the price was always something real, something with genuine value, in exchange for something that glittered but was ultimately worthless. The king traded farmland for glass. He traded fishing rights for glass. He traded his library, centuries of accumulated wisdom, for glass. He traded his army's training grounds. He traded the mineral rights to his mountains. He traded his trade routes. And every time a counselor, a general, a trusted elder came to him and said, "Your Majesty, what are you doing? You are dismantling the kingdom." The king would wave his hand, irritated, distracted, unable to focus, and say, "I will deal with it tomorrow." Tomorrow. The most expensive word in the human language. Tomorrow. The story ends the way all such stories end. The merchant stopped coming because there was nothing left to take. The kingdom was gone. The farmland abandoned. The rivers owned by someone else. The mountains stripped by foreign hands. The people scattered. And the king, this man who had inherited everything, sat in the ruins of his palace, surrounded by a pile of worthless glass, wearing rags, wondering what had happened. He was not robbed in a single dramatic moment. He was not conquered by a great army. He was not struck by catastrophe. He was dismantled piece by piece through the slow, voluntary, pleasurable surrender of everything that mattered in exchange for things that only felt good in the moment. Now, I need you to understand something. That king is you. That glass is your phone. That glass is your social media feed. That glass is the 6-hour video marathon you ran last Tuesday night when you had a project due. That glass is the 3 hours you spent watching other people's highlight reels while your own gifts sat unopened in the corner of your soul. The merchant did not force you. The merchant never forces anyone. The merchant simply offered, and your undisciplined mind, your untrained will, your stimulus-hungry brain said yes, and then said yes again, and then said yes again. And slowly, quietly, without any single dramatic moment you could point to, your destiny is being traded acre by acre, hour by hour, day by day. I want to talk to you about time, because I do not think you understand what time actually is. Most people treat time like it is a renewable resource, like they can spend it foolishly today and simply replenish it tomorrow. Like it is water from a tap, always available, always flowing, always there when you need it. And this is the most catastrophically wrong belief a human being can carry through their life. Time is not a resource. Time is you. Time is the material from which your entire existence is constructed. Every dream you have ever had, every contribution you are capable of making, every relationship that could be meaningful, every problem your mind was designed to solve, all of it is housed inside your time. When your time ends, you end. Not just your body, your contribution, your impact, your voice. Everything you were supposed to leave behind ends. In my cell, God, in his infinite and precise wisdom, gave every human being on this earth the exact same daily allocation. Not more to the wealthy, not less to the poor, not extra to the talented, not reduced for the disadvantaged. 24 hours every single day to every single person. The billionaire has 24 hours. The genius has 24 hours. The man changing history in a laboratory has 24 hours. And you have 24 hours. The playing field at the level of time is perfectly level, which means that the difference between the life you are living and the life you were designed to live is not time itself, it is the management of time. And right now, your time management is a catastrophe. I have studied the lives of great men and women across human history. I have sat with leaders. I have spoken with builders of nations. I have counseled people who changed the trajectory of entire societies. And I can tell you without hesitation that the single most common characteristic of every person who has ever actualized their potential, the one discipline that separates those who merely exist from those who truly live, is the ruthless, deliberate, almost violent protection of their time. They treated every hour as sacred. They treated every morning as a mandate. They did not negotiate with distractions. They did not entertain interruptions. They did not allow the noise of the world to drown out the voice of their purpose. They understood that time is the currency of destiny, and they refused to spend that currency on anything that did not move them toward what they were born to do. And then I look at the generation standing in front of me today, and I see people with more tools, more access, more information, more opportunity than any generation in human history. And I watch them spend 8, 10, 12 hours a day feeding an algorithm, watching strangers, reacting to noise, manufacturing opinions about things that will not matter in 5 years, laughing at content created specifically, engineered specifically to keep them scrolling, to keep them consuming, to keep them passive. Passive. That is the word. Distraction does not just steal your time. It converts you from a producer into a consumer. It takes a person who was designed to create and turns them into a person who only reacts. And a person who only reacts will never build anything that lasts. A person who only reacts will spend their life responding to what others have created while their own creation remains unborn inside them. I need to take you somewhere now. Somewhere most people are afraid to go. I need to take you to the graveyard. The graveyard is the richest place on earth. I have said this for years, and I will say it until my last breath, because it is the most important geographical truth about the human condition. The graveyard is where books that were never written are buried. The graveyard is where businesses that were never launched are buried. The graveyard is where cures for diseases, cures that God deposited in specific people, in specific minds, are buried. The graveyard is where symphonies unplayed, and paintings unpainted, and movements unmoved, and speeches unspoken are buried. Under every headstone is a life that meant to, a life that planned to, a life that said, one day I will, a life that said, when the time is right, a life that said, after this season, after this distraction, after I finish this series, after the weekend, after New Year's, then I will begin. And then the time ran out. And all of it, every gift, every dream, every ounce of untapped potential went into the ground forever. I want you to understand the violence of that image. Because we sanitize death in our culture. We make it clean and peaceful and distant. But the death of potential is not peaceful. It is a catastrophe. It is a cosmic tragedy. When a person dies without having done what they were put on this earth to do, that is not just their personal loss. That is the world's loss. That is your community's loss. That is the future's loss. The child who would have been healed by the doctor who was too distracted to finish medical school, that child suffers for someone else's distraction. The family that would have been helped by the counselor who was too entertained to develop their gift, they carry a wound that someone else's laziness created. The nation that would have been changed by the leader who traded their preparation for cheap amusement, that nation groans under the weight of problems that could have been solved. Your distractions are not a private matter. Your distractions have public consequences. The world is waiting for what is inside you. And while the world waits, you are scrolling. Now, I want to speak to you about something that the world does not often teach. Something that feels uncomfortable in a culture that worships connectivity and celebrates being available and rewards those who respond fastest and post most frequently. I want to speak to you about the terrifying, almost supernatural power of deep, uninterrupted, solitary focus. Every person who has ever done something extraordinary has had a season, sometimes a very long season, of what I will call the dark work. The work that nobody sees. The work that generates no likes. The work that produces no applause. The work done in the early morning before the world wakes up, or late at night after the world has gone to sleep. The work done in obscurity, in silence, in what feels like complete and total isolation. Newton developed the laws of motion during a plague, locked away from society, with nothing but his mind and his time. Lincoln prepared himself in a log cabin with almost no formal education, reading by firelight while others slept. Beethoven composed masterpieces in complete deafness, cut off not just from distraction, but from the very sense most people depend on, and still produce music that 400 years later makes grown men weep. These were not accidents. These were not lucky strikes. These were the inevitable results of people who understood that greatness is not a social activity. Greatness is a solitary discipline. Let me explain to you what happens in your brain when you enter deep, uninterrupted focus. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex reasoning, long-range planning, and creative problem solving, begins to operate at a completely different frequency. Connections form that cannot form in a fragmented, distracted, interrupt-driven mental environment. Solutions surface that would never have surfaced in the noise. Ideas compound on top of each other in ways that simply cannot happen when your attention is divided. The psychologists Mihai Csikszentmihalyi call this state flow. The state in which a person becomes so fully absorbed in meaningful work that time distorts, self-consciousness dissolves, and performance reaches its absolute peak. Every great artist knows this state. Every great scientist knows it. Every great builder knows it. And the unanimous testimony of every person who has ever achieved it is this: you cannot enter it if you are distracted. You cannot enter it if you are available. You cannot enter it if you have given your attention away in pieces to 100 different sources of stimulation. Flow requires sacrifice. Focus requires elimination. Greatness requires that you become, in the world's eyes, unreachable. I want to teach you something I call monk mode. And I need you to understand that this is not a productivity hack. This is not a self-help technique. This is a philosophy of war. Because make no mistake, what you are engaged in right now is a war. A war for your attention, a war for your time, a war for the future that lives inside you. And in war, you cannot afford to be casual. You cannot afford to be comfortable. You cannot afford to negotiate with the enemy. The enemy is distraction. And distraction is not passive. Distraction is not accidental. The platforms you spend your time on are engineered by the most brilliant minds in the world. People paid billions of dollars to understand human psychology specifically, designed to capture your attention and never release it. Every scroll is designed. Every notification is timed. Every suggested video is calculated. You are not casually browsing. You are moving through a carefully constructed labyrinth designed by geniuses whose only goal is to keep you inside it. And you are losing. Monk mode means this: you make a deliberate, conscious, and total decision to starve your distractions. Not reduce them, not manage them, not balance them, starve them. You cut off the noise. You silence the notifications. You create physical and psychological distance between yourself and everything that fragments your attention. You lock yourself in metaphorically and sometimes literally, and you do the heavy lifting in the dark. You wake before the world wakes. You work before the world celebrates. You build before the world sees. You sacrifice before the world rewards. And you do this not for days, not for weeks, but for seasons. Extended, deliberate, disciplined seasons of focused execution. Here is what monk mode looks like in practice. You identify the one thing that represents your highest contribution. Not 5 things, not a balanced portfolio of ambitions. One thing, the thing that if you accomplished it would make everything else either easier or unnecessary. You write it down. You make it the first thing you encounter when you wake up and the last thing you review before you sleep. Then you protect the first 2 to 3 hours of every single day for that one thing. Not for email, not for social media, not for the news, not for conversations that drain more than they fill. The first hours of your day are the most neurologically powerful hours you possess. Your prefrontal cortex is rested. Your willpower reserves are full. Your focus is at its peak. And most people, tragically, criminally, spend those hours giving their best mental energy to other people's agendas, other people's emergencies, other people's content. You must become absolutely unreachable during your sacred hours. This will feel wrong. The culture will tell you that you are being antisocial. People will call you arrogant. People will say you are disconnected. People will be offended that you did not respond immediately, that you were not available, that you chose your work over their noise. Let them be offended. Their opinion of your availability is not worth your destiny. Their comfort with your accessibility is not worth the book you were born to write, the business you were born to build, the problem you were born to solve. You do not owe the world your distraction. You owe the world your greatness. And you cannot deliver greatness if you are perpetually fragmented. I want to speak directly now to someone who is watching this and who has been telling themselves a particular lie. A lie that sounds very reasonable. A lie that sounds almost like wisdom. The lie that says, I will focus when things settle down. I will get serious when the circumstances are right. I will pursue my purpose when I have more time, more money, more support, more clarity. I have heard this lie in 100 different languages, from 100 different people, in 100 different countries. And I need to tell you, with the love and the seriousness that this truth deserves, the circumstances will never be perfect. The timing will never be ideal. The noise will never fully stop. Life will never reach a quiet plateau where distraction voluntarily retreats and purpose automatically advances. The people who changed the world did not wait for conditions to improve. They imposed their discipline on their conditions. They did not wait for silence. They created silence. They did not wait for opportunity. They manufactured opportunity through the relentless daily execution of their gifts in the middle of all the noise and all the chaos and all the inconvenience that real life always brings. Every morning you wake up, you are handed a fresh allocation of 24 hours. And in that moment, in that sacred, unrepeatable moment, you make a choice. Either you are going to spend the day being moved by the world, or you're going to spend the day moving the world. Either you are going to consume, or you are going to create. Either you are going to react, or you are going to initiate. Either you are going to drift, or you're going to drive. And that choice made consistently, day after day after day, is the entire difference between a life of impact and a life of regret. I want to close with something. Something I need you to carry with you long after this video ends. There is a version of you that exists in potential. A version of you that wrote the book, built the organization, raised the children with intentionality, developed the skill, made the contribution, left the legacy. A version of you that walked fully and completely in the purpose for which you were designed. that version of you is not fantasy. That version of you is not wishful thinking. That version of you is real as the gifts you already possess, as real as the calling you already feel, as real as the discomfort you already experience when you know you are living beneath what you were made for. But that version of you requires something. It requires the death of your current relationship with distraction. Not a diet, not a reduction, a death. A deliberate, permanent, non-negotiable decision that you will no longer trade the irreplaceable currency of your time for the cheap, hollow, brain-numbing stimulation of a distracted life. You must kill your distractions. Because if you do not kill them, they will kill your future. They are already killing it. Every hour you spend in passive consumption is an hour that future does not get built. Every morning you hand over to a screen instead of to your purpose is a brick missing from the wall of your legacy. Every year you spend maintaining your addiction to noise is a year the graveyard gets richer and the world gets poorer. So the graveyard does not want your body. The graveyard wants what is inside you. The graveyard wants your unrealized ideas. It wants your unfinished manuscript. It wants the business plan that is still a someday. It wants the skill you keep meaning to develop. It wants the person you keep meaning to become. And if you continue on the path you are currently walking, the graveyard will get exactly what it wants. But you have a choice. You have always had a choice. And the choice is this. You can feed your distractions or you can feed your destiny. But you cannot feed both. The one you feed will grow. The one you starve will die. And the one that dies will determine the kind of life you live and the kind of legacy you leave. I am not asking you to be perfect. I am asking you to be deliberate. I am asking you to look at your life with open eyes and an honest heart and ask yourself, is what I am doing with my time worthy of what I was put on this earth to do? And if the answer is no, if the answer is the quiet, uncomfortable, unavoidable no that I believe you already feel, then change. Not tomorrow, not Monday, not January 1st. Now. The next 24 hours are a gift you have not yet received. You do not know if they are coming. None of us do. And if they come, if you wake up tomorrow with another allocation of irreplaceable time, another chance to build what you were born to build, another opportunity to close the gap between who you are and who you were designed to be, I am asking you to treat that gift like the sacred, finite, magnificent thing it is. Kill your distractions before they kill your future. The world needs what is inside you. Don't you dare take it to the grave.